We'll get started here in just a moment. There we go. All right, I've got everything set up. Let me get back to my screen. Perfect. All right, welcome everyone. Hi, my name is Valorie Lewis, and this is Elizabeth Berkeley. I'm pointing over here because that's where she is on my screen, but I don't know where she is for y'all. Elizabeth Berkeley and Valorie Lewis, and you might be joining us either from Willow Root Tarot or Dallas Tarot Time. I may have said that second one wrong, or Tarot Unicorns and Coffee, wherever or however you found us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a joint event between Elizabeth's meetup groups and my meetup group. So glad to meet you all for the first time. If this is your first time, thank you for those of you who keep coming back. Today's event, Two Witchy Women and Why We Love the Moon. So this is our second event together. We're probably going to stay with that theme, the Two Witchy Women theme. We have some more events in the works for you all. So keep up to date on the events to see when we post the next one. So today's event, we have a ton of information, as I just mentioned. We're going to try to get through it all, but if we don't, just know we will schedule a second one so that we can get through it. There's a lot of information when it comes to the moon, and so much that so excited to share with you all. We're going to do it in two parts. Elizabeth is going to take over the first part here, and then I'll come in and do the second part. And then towards the end, we will have question and answer. So just because we have so much to cover, if you have a question, please write it down and know that we will be leaving time towards the end for the question and answer section. If you don't have a way to write it down, you can put it over in chat. We have the lovely Jacqueline is co-moderating for us both. She'll be keeping an eye on chat and an eye on the room for us as well. That's all I need to say. We need to get into it. I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth to get things started.
All right. Hi, guys. I want to open by saying thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate everything you're doing today. And you too, Valorie. I'm so excited. Valorie and I, as Valorie said, we've done a previous event to this, and it was about witchcraft, which is on YouTube. And I learned so much about witchcraft. And then now with the moon. And it is just so special to be able to share this info with you. And I'm so happy that you guys are here. So we'll go ahead and kick it off. So we have my first slideshow ever. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. I'm very proud of myself. Okay, so this is going to be just a way to consider how to connect with the moon. So as I go through this, it's a lot of information. There's 13 different points. So maybe just listen, just kind of rest into it. Maybe not get too concerned with writing it down because it is recorded. So you guys can totally get this information again. So maybe just feel if something connects with you a little more than the other ones, just ideas of how to connect with the moon. So, hold on. How do I get it to go down? How do I get, there we go, this is it. I'll just leave this up real quick. This is me. This is my logo. And you can find me at Willow Root Tarot or Dallas Tarot Club. And these links are fine. If you go to Willow Root Tarot Meetup, the links are all there. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off, though, with a screen show. One way to connect with the moon is energetic resonance. An energetic resonance is understanding how the moon's vibrations align with spiritual frequencies, affecting consciousness and emotions. There's so many ways to think of this. One way that hits, and this hits in multiple ways, is that my mom always says she doesn't necessarily know it's a full moon, but she can't sleep. So it's something about our bodies, mental capacity, perhaps even chemicals that do connect with the moon. This will work for you, or maybe it doesn't. So whatever works, take it. Whatever doesn't work, just leave it. And we'll go ahead and go to another chakra alignment. Those of you involved in healing or just simply self-healing with your chakras, you can use lunar energy, exploring the connection between lunar phases and the alignment of energy centers or chakras in the body. And this helps to foster a deeper understanding of energetic balance. You can also use crystals or crystalline influence when working with lunar energy, and that's delving into the use of crystals associated with lunar energies. considering their metaphysical properties and how they enhance spiritual practices. So you may already have a favorite crystal that doesn't necessarily align itself with lunar properties. Still, I would encourage you to keep using that crystal for whatever you want and however you want. I have one go-to crystal. I have probably 40, but I have one go-to that I will use for everything. I would totally use it to connect with the moon. And it's actually, it might be quartz. Lunar dream work. Love, love, love this. And I'll just throw out there that Valorie is a lucid dreamer. She can control her dreams. To me, that means that, yes, she's tapped in. I don't ever remember my dreams. I think I could try to tap in a little more. To me now, this is what the dream work with lunar connection is. And here it's examining the role of the moon in dream symbolism and how lunar energies can influence dream experiences. Techniques for harnessing moonlit dreams for spiritual insights. That's cool. I would love to do that. And I would probably incorporate my crystal when doing so. Moon goddess archetypes, because yes, the moon is feminine. She has that energy. She is our sister. So that's right, moon goddess archetypes. Studying the representation of the moon as a goddess in different cultures and understanding the archetypal qualities associated with lunar feminine energies. This is however you take it. So when we consider the goddesses, these are from different cultures, not just ones we're familiar with. So there's a lot of freedom of exploration here. But of course, however this resonates with you is how you should take it and explore it. So alchemy and the lunar symbolism. This is exploring how alchemists incorporated lunar symbolism in their mystical practices, connecting the moon to the transformative processes of spiritual evolution. I'm hearing the word spiritual a lot in this, and it's kind of like I keep kind of picturing us humans as walking filters. We can simply take in this lunar energy, and once it hits us, we really can manifest or use alchemy to create what we want. So this, I think, alchemy is just you and the moon. And what's the third thing? What is the byproduct? And that is the alchemy here. Whatever you want it to be, because we are all alchemists. We can all create. We can all manifest. We all have this ability. But as alchemists in this workshop, it's lunar alchemy. That's all. It's all it is. And we don't need to know anything about it. We can just Google it later or see how it sits with us now. It's all good. One of my favorites, I'm a tarot reader by trade, tarot and lunar symbol imagery, analyzing lunar symbolism in tarot cards and understanding the correlations between card imagery and the phases of the moon. I mean, in tarot itself, there is the moon card. So it's very significant. And the image of a moon, or we can even say sun, is in many of the tarot cards. We also have astrological influences. And this is investigating how the moon's placement in astrological charts influence an individual's mystical and spiritual inclinations. Now, this is really cool. I have a copy of my natal chart. I don't understand it. This is something I go to Valorie to. Valorie can decode, translate the natal chart. And this is huge with the moon, understanding where the moon is and why it's there. Was it the time I was born, the place I was born, and what influence it actually has is huge for me in understanding how to proceed. Because I get my learning in smaller segments. Like I'll sit with Valorie and then we'll cover a few things and then my brain will stop and then we'll move on. So it's that kind of thing for me. This understanding that we have today is take it as much as you want, as much as you can, and move on with it. I just want to keep saying that because it's a lot of info. So this is understanding the moon's role in esoteric practices and spiritual beliefs. And this is exceptionally broad. This is kind of a statement saying whatever I haven't touched upon and whatever you can imagine is under this heading. You are free to explore the moon as you are comfortable. Whatever works for you, go for it. You've got this. This is called Moonlit Meditations. This I'm really happy with. This is guiding ourselves through meditative practices that align with the moon's energy, fostering a deeper connection to intuition, inner wisdom, and spiritual guidance. For those of you that meditate, consider just imagining the moon in your head. That is a connection. You don't have to have moonlight with you. It doesn't even have to be at night that you're doing it. You can connect in simple, easy ways. Imagine the moon in your head when you meditate. This happens to be a Scorpio moon. I think, yes. I don't know what that means, but I like the way the picture looked. And I thought of you, Valerie, when I put that up there, because I was like, I wonder what a Scorpio moon actually means. But this is eclipses and rituals. And this is exploring the spiritual significance of lunar and solar eclipses and various esoteric traditions and rituals associated with these celestial events. It's essentially saying that the zodiac, each character has its own characteristics. They come to play no matter what. But when we bring the moon in, what of those characteristics can the moon enhance or can tamp down, or how do they work well together, and what's a good thing not to do with lunar energy in these cases? So we have, I think this may be the last slide, exploring lunar symbolism and mystical traditions. And this is where we delve. I think that we already covered this one. I think I may have a second one on here. I'm sorry if I did. We delve into the rich tapestry of lunar symbolism across various mystical traditions, encouraging ourselves to decipher hidden meanings and connections. This to me references like the broader idea of you can learn anything you want on the moon. This is just like the intro, but I hope it does pique your interest. I hope you do go out there and learn something. I think, okay, so that is the last of my slides. We will be taking questions in just a bit. So if you have any, go ahead and just jot them down or remember them. I'm going to go ahead and click the stop share, because at this point we are going to be moving in to me in just a second to me doing a tarot reading. So really quickly, I'm going to offer a very brief explanation of the 8 phases of the moon, and those will be incorporated in the tarot reading. So the new moon. And I created these for the event today, guys. So the new moon, if you looked up into the sky, the new moon would actually be black. There would be no light being reflected off of it. For the sake of today, I had to add some color. So we have what would be a black moon. And the new moon, the key word for new moon is seed. The new moon symbolizes beginnings, new opportunities, and a blank canvas. It's a time for setting intentions, planting seeds, and initiating new projects. This phase is associated with potential, purity, and the fertile ground for manifestation. A blank slate, an empty canvas. You can do whatever you want when the sky is black. It's a point of creativity. You plant the seed with your new moon. And we come through with a waxing crescent. This is the second stage. And this keyword is growth. As the moon grows, so does the energy for expansion and growth. This phase encourages you to focus on the actions and attitudes needed to nurture your intentions. It represents a period of learning, adaptability, and building momentum. We've gone from planting a seed to building momentum. We now have the first quarter moon. The first quarter moon presents challenges. Apologies, the keyword is challenges. The first quarter moon presents challenges or obstacles to overcome. So now we're into the planning phase. We've got obstacles. We can work through these. It's a time for decision-making, problem solving, and facing any hurdles that may arise in your path. This phase fosters strength, determination, and resilience. When you hit a problem, you don't stop, you don't turn around, you don't quit, you keep going. You're building your resilience, you're understanding what the obstacles are, and in this phase, the third phase, you're going through them. It might take longer than the phase of the moon to get through the personal hurdles that you see. You might come back a month later to this stage and then see how far you've come, where you think you're at and where you were. The fourth stage of the moon. Now, this is a waxing gibbous. I will say that the white should have come much further over. So apologies for those of you in the room that are familiar with the moon phases. The waxing gibbous is refinement. This card encourages refinement and adjustments. Like a sculptor shaping a masterpiece, it's time to fine-tune your efforts, correct course, and enhance your approach. Attention to detail and dedication to improve are key. So we're seeing, this reminds me of the Suit of Wands in tarot, if you guys read tarot, to some degree. We're starting with nothing, fertile ground, the new moon. And in each case, we have to take our own ability, our own internal strength and power, and nurture the phase of the moon so that it can return that energy to us. Believe in what the phase is, incorporate it as well as you can, no pressure, and see what manifests. We have the full moon. It's completely white, big old ball in the sky that you can see by because it reflects the light of the sun back to the earth. Learn that one. It doesn't actually make light, it reflects light. Full moon. The full moon illuminates the landscape of your intentions and goals. Everyone can see this surface. If you want to publicize what your goals are, now would probably be a good time. You've already gone through the planning and logistics. Now you're sitting at what can I do? It brings clarity, awareness, and a heightened sense of intuition. This phase is associated with culmination, realization, and the revelation of hidden truths. For those of you that I cautiously say, those of you that participate in shadow work, those of you that are knowledgeable, I'd like clarity if I'm wrong. Maybe a full moon is a good time to do that. Maybe with the full moon on your side, you'll be able to cast away the shadows, bring the light in. I'm actually hesitant about shadow work, so I'm not real sure. We're coming to a close with the waning gibbous. This card is this stage, the keyword is release. As the moon begins to wane or grow less or smaller, it's time to release what no longer serves your highest good. This phase encourages letting go of old patterns, beliefs, or situations that hinder your progress. It symbolizes surrender and detoxification. I'll say that when I came across the word surrender, I was like, is that giving away power? No. In this case, surrender for me is looking at the moon and knowing that I do not alter these phases in any way. I accept the moon has this path and I simply watch it. I follow it. I don't have an effect on it. That is surrender in this case. Knowing, what is a serenity? Accepting what I cannot change. This is something I cannot change. I have no desire to, but I accept I can't. That is surrender to me. So we have our second to last phase is called either, you can call it the last quarter or the third quarter moon. Keyword is reflection. The last quarter moon prompts reflection and introspection. It's a time to assess your experiences, lessons learned, and personal growth. This phase encourages self-awareness, mindfulness, and the integration of newfound wisdom. I like this. Second to last phase, it's still asking you to incorporate, to newly bring in what you've learned, to keep trying. So the last phase, we have the waning crescent. This is surrender as a keyword. The waning crescent signals the completion of the moon cycle, calling for surrender and acceptance. It's a time to let go of attachments, surrender control, and trust the natural flow of life. This phase fosters inner peace and spiritual surrender. So I realized that was a ton of info. All of that is going to lead now into the actual tarot. Whoever gets chosen to get the reading, the phases of the moon, the energy that they provide will attach itself to the reading. We're going to pull we'll pull one of these moon cards, and then I'll put down a spread that is associated with that phase. Valorie, are we moving right into the read? Do we want to stop and do anything?
Yeah, we can move right into the read. I just want to mention one more time, if you already put it in chat that you want a reading, I've got you on the list. If you haven't, I'll give you a couple of seconds so that you can do that now, and I'll add you to the list. So we'll just pause for just a minute, Elizabeth, and then I'll tell you who the lucky participant is. Okay, hang on.
And be thinking about a question, regardless, just everybody be thinking, maybe see what comes up into your head. And I'm going to use, when I do read, the Cozy Witch Tarot by Amanda Lovelace.
All right, I've got everyone. Give me just a second. Let me get my random number generator.
Thank you for doing that. I actually don't know how to do the random number generator. I live in fear and to be asked. I'm like, oh God. Let me just point.
All right. Mary Wilson.
Did I read from Mary before? No, there's no way, right?
No, I don't think I've met you before.
Okay, good. I was like, not good. That'd been cool, but I'm like, that'd be odd. Okay, Mary. Hi. Is there a way? Can I see Mary, or it doesn't much matter? But
Yeah, hold on, let me. I don't know if
oh,
I'm
you
going
don't
to
have to come on video. I mean, I couldn't see your picture at all. If you're not on video, no worries.
Okay.
It's okay, that's cool. Even your profile shot's fine. Helps me connect. Thank you. See, Valerie, I couldn't have done that. Mary, welcome. I'm so thrilled to be reading for you. Do you have a question for the tarot cards today?
Does it need to be regarding the moon or just anything?
No, anything you want. Doesn't have to have anything to do with lunar or the moon.
Okay, so how about the guy I'm dating? Where's that going?
Okay. So I have these all 8 phases. And as a reader, I get sensations in my hands. I'm just saying this because I'm going to go through each one without looking. I'm going to pull one, and we're looking at romance. We're looking at the feasibility, the possibility. Where are we going? What's the trajectory? And when one hits, I think it's going to be the hit is this one. Okay. So we're looking at, I had each phase has a spread, and we are doing waning gibbous. No, waning crescent. Give me just 1 second. Here we go. I'm sorry, guys. I'm dyslexic. That's not, I mean, because I get the words backwards when I type them out. Now I'm thinking I maybe have, no, here it is. Okay, we got it. Okay, so waning crescent. What we're going to do with this is we're going to look and see just the idea. This final phase calls for surrender and preparation for the next cycle. So we're looking at the person that you're dating. You'd like to know where it would go. This card guides you on what you need to surrender or accept as you conclude this moon cycle. We're going to pull the tarot cards now, and keeping this in mind, the idea here that I'm getting without having pulled the cards is, do you have, maybe make a list, an idea, no, more than an idea. If you were to make a list of what you want to see with this individual in the next quarter, 6 months, year, feasible goals, and then would your heart be in it to say, if we do not reach these goals together, and make them perfectly aware of what these goals are, they're not a mind reader, I'm sure, and then see where you're at. That's one way to start this read. We're going to go ahead and pull the cards, but having a as concrete as possible ideas on what you want this person to, I want to say give you, but also where you can meet them. Where is the middle ground on each of these wants? Because they don't run to you and give to you. It's about meeting the person midway. What do you both bring to the table? So wanting something that you're not willing to give towards is just taking. There's no reciprocity. So in saying that, we're going to pull some cards. And the cards are, and I will say them out loud once I pull them. Okay. The Hermit, the Three of Swords. Okay. The Seven of Wands and the High Priestess. I'm stopping at 4. With this spread, this is a little bit different, but we're still attaching it to this question. It's fears, secrets, lies, and regrets. So this may be more in asking what is happening with this relationship. It's where are you coming from? What's your origin story? And how does that meet up with this individual? So we're looking at you in this relationship. When we look at the fears and we're thinking about where am I going with this guy? And it's the Hermit. This can be one of two things, and you're welcome to tell me if you have a preference for which way to go. The Hermit can be someone who is coming out of, who is living with a sense of instability because they've been hurt, frankly, by a relationship or relationships. And it's not easy, I don't think, to keep putting myself out there, right? If I've been hurt in the past, I'm reticent to put myself out there and be vulnerable in the future. Even in a relationship, there may still be aspects I'm not willing to be open about because it hurts. That's natural. I think that's healthy. If you don't want to be open with the person, maybe just explain, I'm not going to talk to you about this because I'm uncomfortable. Don't shut them out and don't deflect, but let them know we're not going there. I'm not comfortable with it. And I realize that you're asking about where can I go with this relationship? What's going to happen? But a lot of times we have to start with ourselves to understand where we can go and what is feasible to happen. Because again, you have to be willing to meet them halfway. Wants are only wants. You have got to put the work in. In saying that, the fear of the hermit being hurt again, I think would be prevalent in this reading. If there is a sense of that with you, which is natural, I would say own it. And hope that they don't hurt you. But if they do show signs of abuse, any kind, then leave. If you can, leave. Like, protect yourself first. The secrets. The secrets are the Three of Swords. This could be two ways. I'm actually leaning in more to, when you think about a future with this person, do you think, what do I not know about them? Are you concerned that there are secrets, unknowns that would affect the future that you would have with them? That's what I'm getting from the Three of Swords. It's leaning more into your partner rather than you, but it's your aspect, how you think about this person. I think that you have a fear that you don't know everything about them, but it could be like, not like, oh my God, I don't know everything. No, it's like, I think I might know some seriously important stuff. Like, they have a family in Wisconsin, or they've been married 12 times and forgot to tell me that. Something like that, something important that it's up to them to deliver, but this is not necessarily what you can find out. So this isn't you, it's them. If this is a fear you have, it's not you, it's them. This is a deep read. We have lies and we have the Seven of Wands. And in this case, lies in connection with this relationship and the Seven of Wands is saying lies aren't always lies. If I misremember something and tell Valorie that, I'm not lying to her, but I certainly did tell her it wasn't true. So there is that sense, because with the Seven of Wands, it's the King of the Hill card. That game as kids, you beat everybody down so you can remain on top. But you're an adult now. What is the point of keeping people away when we all need to network and use our resources as fully as possible? So if you find you cutting him out, yourself out, even because you feel that there are lies in the room or in your relationship, please be open to the fact that, or to the possibility that, yes, you're getting fed. I have dogs, sorry. Yes, you're getting fed misinformation, but it might not be that they're trying to do that. Also, people lie as a form of protection. I might not want to share with you all the details about my childhood. I might not want to share that with anybody, so I'll lie to you. So I don't want to say lying's okay, but sometimes, yeah, I mean, actually, sometimes it's okay to lie. I hope that doesn't come across wrong. But I've just said it. Okay, we're moving now into regrets. And this is really interesting because this is the High Priestess. I would never think of the High Priestess and not being perfectly clear, but here it's cloudy because regrets are, I don't want to say it's a choice. It's kind of like, I think you've got a lot of strength in your character. And I think it's almost like, I kind of picture you sitting, I'm very visual, in a bulldozer and it's standing still. You got the keys in it and you're ready to go. You are that bulldozer, but you're not quite sure how to proceed. How quickly do you take your bulldozer energy into this relationship? And it's a healthy thing because we need bulldozers. We need people who are strong enough to carry through, to move the ground in front of us so that we can follow in their path. You are that kind of person. If the person you're with is also that leader type, there might be some conflict, but you have that energy. You are a strong enough person, a strong enough leader, I think, that you also understand when to let your partner lead. So when asking, where can I go with this person? If you find yourself being the one to lead, let them lead. This could be in conversations or who gets to pick the movie or dinner. This could be, in my case, it would be to keep my mouth shut sometimes when I'm more reactive and I don't think before I speak. Something like that. So the questions, the card placements were a bit deep for the question, but there's a lot of healthy aspects to this relationship. I believe that the question you ask and the spread given, determined by the moon phase, is because your relationship, either you or your partner, possibly both, are looking at a deeper value. You're looking at, do I want to marry this person? You know, how much of a commit do I want to give them, or give them the opportunity to give me? I think one of you at least is thinking along those kind of serious lines. And I think it's healthy, because if you want to be, personal opinion, if you want to be with a person, it's so important to just talk about the things. You want to get married, it's beautiful, but talk about the things about marriage first. What if you guys are like totally disagreeing on one aspect of something that might slow you completely down? You both have, I think, leader energy. You especially have it. So you deciding where you want this relationship to go, that's your first step. And then allowing it to happen is allowing them to be strong too, to have their leadership show through and not all the time. Now, if this doesn't resonate, if I'm getting a little bit backward, that's totally cool. But I would like now, Valerie, how are we on? Oh, okay. So do you have any questions about what I just said? I can show you I can hold up the cards. So sorry, I should have done that. Anything I can clarify, anything at all, because I want you to feel what I'm saying. So I know sometimes like the information isn't always clear.
No, you're really, really good, spot on a lot of stuff. I'm confused about the lies part, but I'm a very, very into truth and honesty. So if I feel like somebody's lying, it really gets to me in any relationship.
Yes.
So
I
that's
completely, yeah, I agree. That's why it's almost cautionary. It's like, this is an extreme because it's 7 of Wands. I'm going to use an extreme. Someone has a gun to my head and says, I'm going to kill you if you're not purple. Are you purple? Yes, I'm purple. Yes. Can't you see I'm purple? I'm totally lying, but I don't want to die. Now that is an extreme example, but I'm trying to think of a real world way to say this. A lot of times lies I find are driven by fear. We're scared that people will judge us based on our truth, so we lie. And these are small lies or big lies. It's so difficult to be authentic, I find. I don't necessarily build lies up for my origin story, but I know in the past I have certainly lied, and it wasn't necessarily out of fear. And I know that from that I've grown. If you can see where a person may not be totally truthful with you, now don't get abused. You're not a doormat, okay? But I want to be very carefully say, giving them space to also tell the truth. There's so much here. My sister is a pathological liar, so I'm very, very tuned in to people who lie, but I also know how much harm they can cause. So I think my perspective is a little different. I never suggest getting into a relationship with a pathological liar. I don't know how that would pan out, but in my world with my sister, it is not good. I just have to shut off certain aspects of it. It can't exist for me to have a relationship. That's an extreme example. I'm really good at extreme examples. But does that help with the lie aspect? Because you're not a doormat, Mary. I want to emphasize that. We don't take shit.
right.
But value, but just kind of like send it through a strainer first. What can we get rid of? What can we really understand what's happening here? Because lies are tricky, but sometimes it's just someone screaming for help too. That's that commit. Where do you want to go with this person? How much work do you want to put in? Because people are great, but damn, the relationship takes some work sometimes. Does that add clarity to what I was saying about the lie?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool. Do you have any other questions about the cards? Anything that I said?
I'm intrigued about the secret. Should I ask him or should I how
Secrets is the Three of Swords. Yeah, in this particular case, the Three of Swords is nicknamed the Heartbreak card. It's the big one in tarot. It's that and death and the devil. Like everybody knows those kind of thing. But the Three of Swords can also, it's heartbreak, but it's not necessarily that you're still suffering. So it's like in terms of a secret with the Three of Swords, it's like saying, yes, I was lied to, but what do I do with that knowledge now? And I honestly don't know, because I think I keep coming back to, and this can be rhetorical, you don't have to answer, but it would be like, do I love him? Am I willing to listen to him and then take that energy, my own energy, and put back to him, okay, I hear you, but I hear you lying to me, and I'm having the patience to listen. So now let's work through this. Can you tell me the truth? That's a lot. Now, I'm not saying he's lying to you. I apologize. There's no like, oh yeah, he's totally lying to you. But I think it's asking you, do you have that energy? And sometimes we don't know. We don't know if we have the energy till we're actually faced with a situation. Like, oh yeah, I'm married. Oh, I'd totally do that. No, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe Greg would start lying to me and I'm like, you know what, I'm out. Bye. I just can't do this. You're too much like my sister later. But I wouldn't even have given him a chance. So I think with secrets, lies, to a degree, you can offer them an opportunity. But it's what is your commit? And there's what's called an ROI, return on investment. You put in work and labor to this relationship. What do you want out of it? Be brutally honest with yourself. You don't have to be brutally honest with them yet. Put it on. I make lists. I love lists. Your ROI, your return on investment. Is it being met? Have you put 3 years into this relationship, and what's he giving back? Where are we at? You want to see if marriage is on the horizon and you want it on the horizon, is it there? That kind of thing. Your return on investment, is he reciprocating? Is he giving back to you? And if he's not, where? And does it come up with secrets? He's scared to. He's been married before, doesn't want to commit again, anything like that. But secrets and lies can be teased out and understood if you want to commit your time and energy to doing so. And this is generic. I mean, like any relationship. I mean, we're human. We lie. You know, we deceive. We also love and show compassion and grace and kindness every day. We're capable of all of those things. I strongly feel that as humans, we can work with each other to help each other bring those qualities out. But we also have to be aware that there's negativity as well. And when you're intimately involved with a person, your spouse, your partner, lover in whatever sense, you're kind of like that first. You're going to get it first. You're going to get what they're feeling first. So if he's always coming to you with, hi, babe, I'm so happy to see you. Awesome. If he's always coming to you with, I had a shit day and I expect you to listen. Not so great. It's up to you to decide what you want in this relationship. Not that you have to create it, but what do you want? And then how do we get there? What are the steps we can take to ensure that you get what you want? And it could take time, but I strongly suggest making a list. I like lists. That's why I say list. Or go to your phone, find an app you like, write it down. What do you want? And do you feel that you're getting back what you're giving? If you're not, how can he show you that he does care? But really, what do you want in the relationship? Please start there. And everything I've said, now this spread happened to be fears, secrets, lies, regrets. It could have just as easily been really positive words. It happened to be this spread. It does not in any way say that this is the most, that it does not say that these are the most powerful aspects of a relationship. It doesn't. It just happens to be some aspects, and it's the ones we're covering today. Because to me, it's like, it's very deep. I don't want you to think like, oh no, my relationship's full of secrets and regrets and lies. It's just what I happen to pull today. Does that resonate with you?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I get like worried when I get the deeper ones, you know, it's like, oh shit, what am I saying? I hope this is okay. Well, good. I'm glad that resonated. I think I did okay on time, Valerie.
Yeah, you're right at time, actually.
I start talking, I'm like, oh, girl. Well,
thank
Mary,
you so
thank
much
you for letting me read. Okay, I think I'm done. I think, right?
All right. Cool. All right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Elizabeth. That was quite the reading. And I just want to mention the moon does go deep, just period. That's part of the moon's energy. So that was deep, and there was some deep and a love reading. Elizabeth, more power to you. All right, let me get my screen up and started. One moment. Get this going. Thank you for pausing with me here. Just a moment. There we go. To Witchy Women, Why We Love the Moon. So mine, I am going to go over some of the same things when we get to the moon phases, some of what Elizabeth shared. So I might breeze through that rather quickly so I can get to some of the other information. But I want to start by talking about why we even talk about the moon. The moon is, as you know, hopefully you know this if you've been an earthling long enough, but that the moon is the closest planetary celestial body, let me put it that way, that we can see with the naked eye from Earth. So going all the way back to ancient times before telescopes were invented and we looked up at the sky, we could see stars, and we could see this big thing that was really, really close. And it was honored and celebrated and worshiped almost since the beginning of human existence. I say almost because I wasn't there when human existence started, so I'm kind of guessing on that one. But it was also a way to track nature cycles. Our calendars are actually based on the moon cycles, and there's even a day of the week named after the moon, Monday. And also because the moon is, because it is so close, the moon's gravitational pull affects Earth's waters. We all know this. These aren't news. This is not news to you. But back in the days before there was a lot of technology, before there were telescopes, we had to look to nature in order to survive in a lot of situations. Our survival as the human race depended on us being able to predict things like the weather and like when are crops, when are the crops going to grow, migration of animals, those tribes and peoples who used to eat animals, they needed to know when are the animals going to migrate through this particular field or pasture so that we can eat. So being in tune with nature also meant being in tune with the moon. The moon helped us know when certain things were going to happen. Again, our calendar is based upon it. So we were watching the moon very closely back in those early days because it helped us stay alive. Among other things, we watch nature and we watch the animals too. So spirituality, so we've already got people watching the moon, celebrating the moon, worshiping the moon. And spirituality, the crossover to spirituality is we use the cycles of the moon mostly primarily for manifesting practices, but also to become aware of our ever-changing human emotional states. In a lot of situations, our emotional states are linked up with the moon cycle. So it helps them, and especially if you're female, your menstrual cycle can also link up with the moon's, the lunar cycles. So being aware of what changes might happen in our emotional states ahead of time will help us prepare for those and weather those more fluidly. I'll say that. So aligning with the moon as a spiritual practice is definitely a way to become more unified with nature and with spirit. It's recognizing that we too are part of the grand cycle and allowing our energies to sync up with this bigger cycle, this cycle that is bigger than us, allowing ourselves to sync up with it instead of resist or instead of being unaware of it. It just helps bring everything together, put us at one with the universe. The moon is one way to align to that. So that's why I love the moon so much. The moon, in a nutshell, this is not all inclusive, but the moon represents emotions, instinct, stability, the mother figure, like Elizabeth mentioned. The moon is considered divine feminine, whereas the sun is considered divine masculine. The moon also represents intuition. I wrote down a couple of other things based on Elizabeth's reading. The moon, when we get into more esoteric or metaphysical meanings, these right here, emotion, instinct, stability, mother, intuition, most of those are astrology terms. But when we get in more into esoteric or metaphysical meanings, the moon can also represent illusion, the subconscious mind, and things that are hidden beneath the surface. Illusion, because if you think of the moon's light, you can't always see clearly in things lit by the moon. You can see clear as day. Where do y'all think that saying comes from? You can see clearly when the sun is out and everything is bright and illuminated, but the moon is a reflection, like Elizabeth said. So as it reflects the sun's light, it's not always clear. Things are not always as clear under moonlight. And the esoteric or the metaphysical meaning picks up on that you might not be seeing things as they truly appear. You might not be seeing the full story. So dig a little deeper, get into what lies beneath the surface for this thing so that you can bring it to the surface, bring it to light, and really understand what's going on. So that's why whenever the moon is involved, there is a tendency to go deep, just for those reasons. Let's see, I think that's the last bit I had on that slide, maybe. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go over the 8 moon phases. Elizabeth already went over these, so I'm going to brainstorm pretty quickly. I started with the new moon. The new moon is a new beginning. It's a time for you, and this is as it relates to co-creating with the universe. So you usually hear about these moon phases in relation to manifesting. Yes, but usually the word manifesting, most people's minds go to what am I going to physically create in this world? I like saying the moon phases in relation to co-creating because it might not be something physical that you're trying to create or manifest. Like in Mary's case, a relationship, a family relationship. It doesn't always have to be a physical thing like I'm trying to generate a new job or I'm trying to buy a new car. All of that works fine. I just think co-creating expands it just a little bit beyond our understanding of manifesting. So this is co-creating whatever you want, co-creating your life the way you want it, and using the phases of the moon to do that. So the new moon, new beginnings, it's time to collect your thoughts and plan. Most people are familiar only with the new moon and the full moon. We're going to go through all 8. So waxing crescent is when you set your intentions. First quarter is when you take inspired action. Waxing gibbous is when you focus. It's a period of mindfulness. It allows you to refine and hone your actions, those actions that you already put into practice on your first quarter. Now you're refining them and honing them. The full moon is when your intentions and your actions have finally fully come to fruition, and it's when you have your manifestations and when you're able to sit back and enjoy what you have manifested. Waning gibbous, gratitude for all of your manifestations. So it's a time to express gratitude. It's a time to turn inward and reflect. The last quarter moon is that letting go, releasing what no longer serves you. And then waning crescent is surrender. It's the rest, it's the self-care, it's the self-love period. And the waning crescent, again, is right before you go back to the new moon. So you're surrendering, you're resting, you're taking care of yourself. You're in that period going into the dark moon, and then you're in the new moon again. And this cycle just continues to repeat forever. So that's the 8 moon phases. I do want to mention, some of y'all are writing furiously, trying to take all of this down. I should have mentioned, I've got a handout for you. It's going to list all of these definitions. You'll be able to download it. I'll put the link over in chat as soon as I get through all of the screens. So take notes if you want, but I have a downloadable PDF that has all of this information on it for you. So that's the phases as they relate to co-creating. Now I want to talk about the moon and as it relates to
I think Valerie, is it just me or is Valerie frozen? Valerie's frozen. Okay, thanks, guys. Valerie, you're frozen if you can hear me. I don't know what to do. I'm going to unfreeze Valerie. Jacqueline, are you here? Do you have an idea? I can go ahead and start talking until Valerie kicks back in.
That sounds good.
What, Jacqueline?
Oh, I was just going to say that she'll probably go off and come right back on.
Oh,
Just like that is exactly what just happened. So she'll
oh,
be
I
right
feel
back.
so much power. It says you are the host now in the upper right-hand corner. I like that. Now, as soon as she comes back, she's taking it, but I've got power right now. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with my power. But it's fun. I'm loving seeing the faces in the room just to talk. I recognize some of you guys, and I will say, Lori, well, she's in my Lori Hewitt is in my upper right. She's got a purple shirt. She's got a purple background. I was in a meditation with Lori Hewitt and discovered one of my spirit guides. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And Lori and Valerie are the only 2 people that I ever recommend because of me. Okay, totally me. Go find your guides, dudes. They're great for meditation. I was in a meditation with Valerie. Her group, Tarot, Unicorns, and Coffee, which you may have come to us by. She does a Wednesday meditation, I think. And
Yes,
I connected on Wednesday. And I don't connect. Now, even Lori introduced me to one of my guides. I haven't actually talked to, I had 3, haven't talked to him, but I don't have that kind of relationship. I'm building it. And this past week or 2, Valerie's back. I'll stop talking.
Okay,
Has been great.
here we go. I am echoing. One moment.
we'll make sure
Okay.
that
Sorry about that. I'm back. I'm going to keep my camera off. I'm also on my phone. So if my home connection drops again, I'll be on my phone. And hopefully we'll do it from there. I'm sorry about that. So you guys, where was the last thing that you saw? I hope it was here.
This looks great, Valerie.
Okay. Okay, so I had moved forward. I still have an echo. Let me do this.
yeah, we're starting right here.
There we go. Okay. So I was saying there's two beginner friendly ways to get in touch with the moon, to align your life with the moon energies. The first one is following new moon and full moon phases, which is what most people are familiar with. And the second one is following the moon transits through your natal chart, which is what I'm really excited to show you all. I want to go back and talk about the new moon and the full moon phases, because even if you've been coming to my events when I used to do new moon and full moon events, you have heard me multiple times for years say the new moon is when you set your intentions, and the full moon is when you realize your manifestations. So I'm going to go back to this a little bit, because that is taking that first line, the new moon, the waxing moon, the first quarter, and the waxing gibbous, and it's squishing them all together and putting them under new moon. Whenever you hear somebody say the new moon is all about setting your intentions, yes, kind of. But if you were to observe all 8 cycles, you wouldn't get to setting intentions until waxing crescent. You wouldn't get to actually taking action until first quarter and waxing gibbous. So traditionally, we take that first whole eight phases and squish them into new moon setting intentions. Same thing with full moon. Full moon, you see all 3 of those things. So you'll hear me say, well, the full moon is about realizing your manifestations and then letting go of what doesn't serve you. Well, you don't actually let go until last quarter. So it's taking all those last 4 phases and squishing them together under full moon. And that is fine. That is an absolutely advisable, fine way to get started with aligning yourself with the full moon and the new moon. I just want to let you all know that there are more steps, obviously. So we're going to talk about following the new moon and the full moon phases, and how you would do that personally in a way that works for you. And it's the moon transits through the zodiac is what I want to talk about. So every 28 days is a full lunar cycle, give or take. Every 28 and a half days, I should say, our moon moves through each of the 12 zodiac signs. Our moon basically makes a big circle in the sky. And because we have the zodiac in our sky, it's going to move through all 12 of those signs. So I hope you're still with me. I hope you're still understanding. Okay, so as the new moon and the full moon. So the moon in its various phases is moving through all of the 12 zodiac signs. We're seeing the moon go through all 8 phases. And when it hits that new moon phase, we say, oh, look, a new moon. And we look and we see what sign is it in when it is a new moon. That's how we get people saying things like new moon in Capricorn, because it's moving through all 12 signs. But when it hits new moon, we say, what sign is it in? It's in Capricorn. We just had new moon in Capricorn a couple of days ago. So then we keep watching it. Maybe it's a waxing gibbous in a different sign. We're not paying attention to that. We're waiting. It's full moon. It's full moon. Okay, what sign is it in now? That's how we know new moon through the zodiac and full moon through the zodiac. So when we hit that new moon and we look to see what sign it's in, that new moon is calling in the energies or trying to manifest. It's the stage of planting a seed, so to speak, with the new moon, fresh start, new beginnings. It's asking yourself, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to manifest this energy meaning the zodiac sign that it's in, into my life? I'm going to give the example of new moon in Capricorn again, because we just came out of that one couple of days, and we're still in that. If you still want to set your new moon intentions, you can, because remember, you still got a couple of phases before you actually set intentions anyway. So let me go to new moon in Capricorn and explain what I mean. So you have a new moon in Capricorn. You already know what the new moon is about, but now you're going to look and see, what is Capricorn about? Capricorn is about, I'm going to show you that in a minute. It doesn't matter. Let's say Capricorn is about polka dots. So now, new moon and polka dot energy, how can I call in the energy of polka dots and use that to manifest in my life? So new moon is about calling in energy. It's saying, this is a fresh start, a new beginning. I want to plant this seed. This is not energy that I already have. I'm calling it in. So we're moving through the phases. We get to the full moon. The full moon is in stripes. Let's say the full moon is in stripes. Just it's a zodiac sign. I'm using it in an illustration. Hope I'm not confusing you. So the full moon is in stripes. Now the full moon is about being that energy, becoming that energy, stepping into that energy. The full moon, just like Elizabeth said, is about, it's big, it's full, it's completely lit up, it's already here. It is manifested. This is when the energy has already manifested into your life and you're being asked to step into it or to celebrate it. You're able to use this energy to its fullest. Think about the plant analogy. This is a full-grown plant and you're able to use it now, utilize it. So a full moon in stripes, you would not be asking, how can I call this energy in? You would be saying, how can I step into the energy of stripes? Because it's already here, it's already full grown. How can I use this energy in my life? So that's the difference between new moon through the zodiac, full moon through the zodiac. Now I'm going to get more specific and tell you what each sign means. So moon zodiac transits, and I tried to keep it very, very simple. Please understand that this is not all inclusive. What I did is I took each zodiac sign and I went with their key phrase. All 12 zodiac signs have a key phrase which starts with an I statement. So for the moon in Aries, the statement would be, I am. I'm only going to give you the example on the first one and let you complete it for the rest of the other signs. So if it was a new moon in Aries, the I am statement, calling it in. Who am I? Who do I want to be? What do I want to manifest? I am. If it was a full moon in Aries, it was, oh, I can already see who I'm supposed to be. I'm not planning it. I'm not setting intentions. That's me. And now I'm going to step into that energy. Now I'm going to ask myself, now that I am Goddess, supreme ruler of all universes, and now that I've stepped into this energy, how can I use this energy to best benefit my life or to benefit others? So there is a slight nuance between new moon in this sign and then full moon in this sign. So keeping it simple, understand that I am does not fully describe all of Aries energy. It just keeps it simple for the purposes of this presentation. If you already know your sun sign, you know that there's a whole lot more to Aries than just the I am statement. Okay, so moving on, Taurus would be the I have. Gemini would be I think. Cancer would be I feel. Cancer is also home to the moon. The moon very, very much likes Cancer. Leo would be I will. Virgo would be I analyze. All of this will be on. Libra, I balance. Scales of justice. Scorpio, I desire. Sagittarius, I see. Capricorn, I use. Aquarius, I know. And Pisces, I believe. Now, please keep in mind, all of this will be on the handout, and I'm giving you little pieces. Once we get to the end of this, you'll see how all of those pieces fit together. So that would be the moon as it transits through the zodiac. And again, that first bullet point of how do you align what's an easy way to align with the moon is tracking new moon and full moon, and then seeing what sign does the new moon occur in? What sign does the full moon occur in? So the new moon on the 11th was in Capricorn. New moon, planting seeds. I use Capricorn energy, being very industrious, knowing how to use its skills, knowing how to keep going. So new moon in Capricorn would be very simply beginner one-on-one moonology would be, I'm going to look at the moon. I'm going to see what phase it's in. I'm going to look at my little zodiac key phrase and see what do I interpret, what do I intuit from this phrase? How can I call this phrase into my life? And that's really simple. How you would start to begin to align yourself with the moon is just watching when is it a new moon and when is it a full moon and which zodiac is it transiting through. All right, moving on. This might be the part that's more interesting to you all because it's definitely the part that gets me all excited. It's the moon through my personal natal chart. So the moon, as we just talked about it through the zodiac, is going to be the same for everybody. There's a new moon in Capricorn. There's a new moon in Capricorn for everybody. But how does that relate to you and your personal natal chart? That's what we're going to talk about next. This is what a natal chart looks like. If you've never seen a natal chart before, this is what one looks like. This is actually mine. You can see my sun is in Sagittarius. My natal moon is in Capricorn. What does that mean, Valorie? It looks like a bunch of squiggles on my screen. Here's what it means. It means on the date and time that I was born, if somebody went outside and took a snapshot of the sky above, this is that snapshot. On the horizon, the constellation of Virgo was rising, which means I am Virgo rising. On the sunset, the descendant, you looked up in the sky, you would see, oh, Pisces is over there. So Pisces is my descendant. My sun, which means if you took a snapshot of the sky, the sun would be directly right over the Sagittarius constellation, or in front of, behind the Sagittarius star constellation, which is why my sun is in Sagittarius. Same with the moon. Where was the moon when we took that snapshot of the sky? The moon was over by the Capricorn constellation. So basically, a natal chart is a snapshot of the sky, placing the various planets and aspects in relation to the constellations, the sun, the moon that are already up there. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'll have to give you an individual rating for it to make sense to you. This is just a basic understanding of what a natal chart is. So when we go a little bit deeper, the only other thing I want to point out here, which I'll point out again later, is you can see, in addition to all of the constellations, I hope you can see my cursor moving, all of the constellations and the various colors are around the outer circle. The inner circle shows where my sun and moon and some other things we're not going to talk about were at the time of birth. In the inner circle with the numbers 1 through 12 is my house system. So if you are looking at your own chart, and say, for instance, you're trying to look at house number 1, on my chart, I would look to see where does that first line start. That first line starts in Virgo, which means Virgo is my first house. Second house, where does that line start? Libra. Libra is my second house, and so on and so forth. So understanding the planetary aspects as well as the house system is going to be important in a couple of slides. Again, just look at this information, take in as much as you can. When we get into more details, you'll understand. I had to speed it up, huh? So this is the moon as it transits your natal house. If the moon was in my first house, it would be talking about physical personality, the house of self. Second house is possessions. Third house is communication. Fourth house is family and home. Fifth house is pleasure. Sixth house is health. Please understand these are 1 or 2 key phrases. These are not all inclusive, and you might have other definitions for your house system. Seventh house is partnerships. Eighth house is sex, death, and rebirth. Ninth house is philosophy. 10th social status. 11th house is friendships. And 12th house is subconscious. Again, all of this is going to be on the handout. So what does all this mean? Let's put it all together. I'm going to stop this screen share and pull up another screen to show you how it all comes together. So what I'm going to show you now is a personal chart, and hopefully this will all make sense when you can see this chart. So on this chart, this is a sample of someone's birth chart. And we see on January 1st, based on their natal chart, the moon was in their first house. The moon was waning gibbous in Virgo. And then over here is my interpretation that I added. So during this time, you can be more sensitive. You would be more sensitive than usual. It would be easier for you to express your emotions. You'll be able to feel the energy of your surroundings more than usual. And it's a great time to start something new. Because, not because because it is in this individual's first house. It's why we have that understanding. Also because it's Virgo and waning gibbous. So we take all of those factors into account. Looking up at the sky, where's the moon? Oh, I see the moon. Oh, it's in waning gibbous phase. Okay, great. Now I'm going to look behind the moon and see what constellation it's in. Oh, it's in Virgo constellation. Okay, great. Now I'm going to look at my chart and see where Virgo is. Oh, in my chart, Virgo is my first house. So you see how we put all of those things together. And then we say, for this individual, what does waning gibbous Virgo first house moon mean? And that's where we get the interpretation over to the side. And this is how you can track the moon cycles in relation to what it means to you personally. And so I've done a little bit more. And what I did is I tracked what date does it move into a new house for this individual, because that's when it's going to be most significant to them. That's when they're going to notice the change the most in their chart, is when it's moving through their chart and when it's moving into a different house, because each one of these houses signifies a different area of their life. So whenever the moon is in their first house, they're going to be focused on things related to self, like we said back on the chart. Self, personal, I think it said personality, personal personality, I don't know, some personality. It's the house of self. So, okay, I'm feeling really good. First of the year, I'm thinking about myself. And then the moon moves again, because that moon is a fast little sucker. And it moves into the second house. And here's what we have to look forward to in the second house and the third house. So I've tracked this based upon this person's chart. When does it move from house to house? So then you'll see third house, fourth house. There is an exception, fifth house, because it is in the fifth house when it's waning crescent, but it's also new moon, Capricorn. So January 11th, a couple of days ago. So in addition to all the houses, I also added in, when is it in new moon? So it's in new moon when it's actually still in the fifth house. I hope that makes sense. That's why we have fifth house twice. So it moved into the fifth house, and it stayed in the fifth house long enough that it also had a new moon a couple of days later. Yeah. Oh, no, 1 day later. So then I said, what does new moon in Capricorn in your fifth house mean for this individual? And I gave a different, a little bit more new moon centric interpretation or read for that. And then I didn't complete this because this is just a sample. So then it would go into the sixth house, seventh house, eighth house, ninth house, 10th house. At some point, probably around the 11th or 12th house, we would have a full moon as well. And so there would be an additional line for whenever it's in that house, it would have its own interpretation. And when it's a full moon in that house, it would have a different interpretation, just like I did here for the fifth house. So this is how I track the moon. I don't necessarily do this chart for myself every month, but I do have my natal chart available, which means at any given time I can look at my natal chart and look at the moon transit and kind of interpret it for myself. But this layout right here, this sample moon transit chart is actually what I'm offering as one of my readings, which I will talk about that in a little bit. I think I wanted to go back to, yes, whoa, I'm all over the place. I'm gonna go back to the slideshow. I wanted to show y'all that sample. And I think I'll be ready to wrap up here. Yes, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. Excuse me. Elizabeth, before I stopped, because I should have stopped right after Elizabeth's presentation was over, I forgot. We had someone asking for a link for that reading. So Elizabeth, the reading that she just did, she's also offering that reading as her special, and she'll drop over in chat how you can get in touch with her if you'd like to schedule a personalized moon tarot reading. this is my information. So if you schedule your moon chart reading with me, it will be a live reading. It'll be a 30-minute reading. I will give you the downloadable personalized moon chart, just like I mentioned on the other, just like I showed you. You'll have one of those completely filled out for the upcoming month. So you'll get that downloadable moon chart. We'll be able to go over that if you have any questions, but mostly what the moon reading will talk about is I'll cover your natal moon. So like if you remember when I showed you a sample of what my natal chart looked like, and I said my moon is in Capricorn, wherever your moon is, wherever your moon was when you were born, I will talk to you about the significance of your natal moon. What do you need to know about that? I'll also talk to you about your north and south node placements, which are moon placements. North and south node, if you've ever heard those terms, relates to the moon. They're moon placements. The north, the south node is basically where you came in at. There's a lot of information there. And then the north node is where you aspire to move to. So if you're thinking about life path, getting a moon reading, or even figuring out this for yourself, looking at a moon chart, your natal chart for yourself, and seeing where's my south node at? What constellation, what zodiac sign is my south node in? Which house is my south node in? That is all the information that you pull with you into this lifetime. And then your north node is where you're trying to go. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to figure out? Where are you trying to go in this lifetime? So very pertinent information. I will say that my beginning start, I shared this with Elizabeth. When I first wanted to learn about astrology, I was like, oh shit, that's a lot to learn. I don't know if I can learn all of that. But I have always had a love for the moon. This comes from past lives. Those of you that know me know a little bit about my past lives. Always had a love for the moon. And so what I did is I started looking at just the moon in my natal chart. Let me figure out what moon in Capricorn means. Then I started looking at the transits. Everything that I have learned about astrology on my own has been because I've been trying to track the moon and figure out what the moon is doing. So that's a very viable way to learn about astrology overall, because once I needed to know about what does moon in Capricorn mean, then I needed to know what moon in Aquarius means. And pretty soon I was learning all 12 zodiacs. And then I needed to know about the houses. And pretty soon I was learning all 12 houses. So if you're beginner to astrology, know that you can focus in on just one thing and get really good at that in your chart, and you will eventually learn all you need to know about astrology. Maybe the moon is not your thing. Maybe you want to focus in on the sun sign, or maybe you want to focus in on Jupiter. I love Jupiter. Jupiter is my ruling planet, so I really love Jupiter. So whatever gets you interested in astrology, just know that you can take that as your gateway drug, and just focus on that for a while until you become more familiar with all of the I was going to say complex, all of the intricately divine, beautiful things to learn in astrology. I don't want to make it seem like it's a hard thing, because it's not when you take the right approach to it. The only other thing I want to do is put this slide up here, because some of the pictures and graphics came from slides ago, and I have to leave this in for credit. And that's all I have as far as the presentation part. And now we're going to open it up to questions. Elizabeth, are you ready for some questions? Jesse has a question, and then there was also a question earlier in chat. So Jesse, you go first.
Okay. Mine was and this was done at the very beginning, and I don't think it had anything to do with what we went over. It was just a conversation that was brought up. But how do you control your dreams, and if that's something that is that something that you can teach somebody else to do?
I'm assuming that question was for me, because Elizabeth threw it out there that I was a lucid dreamer. I don't know. I get asked that so many times. Here's what I have to say about that. Yes, because everything can be taught. I mean, everything is a skill, and I think we all. My opinion is we all have the ability to lucid dream. Period. It's not something just for certain people. I think we all have the ability to lucid dream. How I would go about teaching that, I don't know, but I'm pretty damn sure it would include some form of meditation. So I'll think about that. I'll think about that.
Okay.
I love that question though, because if I could learn how to lucid dream, that would be. I have lucid dreamed twice, but I wasn't in charge, and I actually felt like I didn't like. I knew I was lucid dreaming, and I was like, well, what can I do? And I had no idea what to do. It's like coming to a tarot reader without a question. I had all this power, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to stand here while I lucid dream. but Valerie, I'll be at that class if you figure
If
out a
I
way.
ever do
I'll be
it.
there.
I guess now I better start working on it. I've seen other people teach lucid dreaming, so I know it's a thing that can be taught. I just haven't looked. I guess I haven't thought about it enough, but maybe I'll think about it now.
Oh, Valerie, wait. So, what phase of the moon? I mean, it would help us tap into lucid dreaming. Is there? I'm looking at it like I know.
I'm just gonna say this intuitively off the top of my head. I'm gonna go with Pisces based on what I know about Pisces.
That's my moon sign. Does that make a difference? I don't know.
That's a great segue. I would say look for when the moon is new moon if you want to set your intentions to lucid dream. Full moon if you want to call that in. I'm just saying Pisces, but I'm sure there's lots of phases that could help with that. But that question, when you said that was your moon in your natal chart, there was actually a question from Jesse. Did that answer your question as much as possible?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to move on to the question. I'm trying to see who asked it. Shri, is there any significance being born on a new moon day or a full moon day? There is significance to where the moon is and what phase the moon is in your birth chart, period. So I look at my birth chart and I think I was born during a new moon. I forget now. Some of you were born during eclipse energy, which is really fucking cool. But yes, so specifically new moon and full moon, I'm sure it has a little bit more weight to it just because that's just where we focus collectively at. But basically, whatever phase the moon is in can inform you on your life path, can inform you on what you intended when you chose that moon phase to be born under. And I do believe that from non-physical, we do choose where we're born and when we're born and all of those things so that we can lay the path and so that we can have some markers, so to speak, to help us later on when we get a little bit deeper into exploring self. So yes, if you pull up your natal chart from a pretty good site, most of the sites will let you know what phase was the moon in when you were born and where was the moon in your chart when you were born. And that is relevant information. So I hope that answered that question, Shri.
So just together, everything you were saying. So it seems like just being born on a new moon day is more about kind of starting, it's like starting new or starting fresh, just from everything I've been hearing today. Is that kind of a correct assumption?
Yes, but it would be more specific to the new moon and what sign. Like, what are you starting fresh and what are you starting new under? There's more to it when you actually go into an individual reading. There's more there's more, not aspects, more details to consider. But yes, if you wanted to just very beginner overview, I was born on a new moon. That must mean I came here to start something. That must mean I came here to plant some seeds. Yes, absolutely. Does that help? Does that kind of help answer your question, Shri?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
I was gonna throw out there one of the apps I use, it's free, it's called Sanctuary. And if you put in this, I know PII is personally identifiable information. It's what you don't want to share, but it's very typical in the metaphysical community that you have to give your birthplace, your birth time, and your birth date. It's very, very typical. So if you're comfortable giving that, and I do, I use the app Sanctuary. It's an inverted triangle as the logo. And for free.
I just put it in chat.
Okay, I like it because it's super simple. Super simple, but it lets me feel the confidence I need to know that like Valerie said, I can just step out of the Sanctuary app and go anywhere I want to learn more. But I like that app. And there is a website that I hear all the time, and I'm just trying to remember it for your natal chart. It's like Astro Cafe, maybe some. Is that it? Okay, I've heard about that so much. And I think I did use it, and I maybe try that one out. You can always Google reviews on any of the sites before you use them if you want. But the Sanctuary app, they do have a free version. I use the free version, and I love it. I get my really brief every morning little snippet, and I'm like, I get it. And from using the app, just from what you said, Valerie, I'm like, hey, I kind of get what Valerie's saying.
Yeah. So that's why that link is ready and why I just dropped it, because I was going to mention that and then I totally forgot. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm going to see, will it let me even show? The glare might be too much. Damn it. I wonder if I can. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
So this is the Sanctuary app. I'm a little bit biased because I'm actually a reader on this app, but this is the free version. You don't have to pay to use this. So you see right away, it gives me my daily horoscope. I'm not going to go into that because it's this is what I want to show you though.
Okay.
No, this is what I want to show you, your chart. So it gives you your natal chart. You can look at your natal chart, but then, hold on, let me get there. I might have to turn it around to figure out where I'm trying to get. Guides. This is the part I want to show you. Under guides, so much information. All this is free, y'all. All this is free. You can read the astrological horoscope for anything you want. Here, right here, the basics. If you click on moon, you get a little gamification thing that's going to walk you through the moon and why it's important and what it means in your chart. I love that. It tells you your personal moon. So this is my personal moon it's not Sagittarius, is in Capricorn. It tells you all of the different signs and what their meanings are. It tells you all of the different moon phases. That's very important. Aspects, if you want to go a little bit deeper in astrology. That's not all of that sort. North node, south node. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. It's really good. It tells you all of your personal houses, what signs are in your first house and what that means and all of the aspects. All of that is for free. You don't have to pay for any of that. I go in there quite often when I need to see what the hell's going on in the sky that's making me so crazy. So that Sanctuary app is over there in the chat as well. What other
There's
questions?
another question in chat. Are the signs fixed representing the houses, or do they change? That's from Christine O.
Christine, I'm gonna have you unmute and ask that question so I understand exactly what you're.
Hello,
meaning.
can you hear me?
Yeah, go for it.
So the houses that represent your sign, that's on your natal chart, the certain sign that represents each house, is it fixed or does it move according to the season or once a year retrograde, or does it just stay the same throughout?
Let me try to screen share real quick and go back to my chart. So I think I can answer your question better if we have a visual representation on screen. Try to do this real quick. I know we're getting close to time. So this is what I'm assuming you're talking about, the chart. Is it fixed
The outer,
or not?
yeah.
Yeah, the outer is yes and no. The outer is where was this when I was born? So I will always have my sun in Sagittarius because I'm a Sagittarian. That's so this outer wheel will not move. However, this inner wheel, I took away some of the glyphs just to make this simple. If I had my full chart, you would see all of the planets inside as well, just like the sun and moon. Sagittarius would be in here as well. So my sun will always be in Sagittarius, and that will always be in my fourth house. Third house. That'll always be in my third house.
Okay.
But if I was to, this is where it was when I looked up when I was born. If I was to look up in the sky right now, I'm just guessing, I'm just making stuff up. Sagittarius might be over here in my eighth house in the sky. So knowing this is where it was when I was born, but the sky's always moving. Sagittarius is well, the earth is always moving. Sagittarius is not moving, but Sagittarius is always moving from our perspective. So if you want to know where is my sun sign right now, like where is Sagittarius right now, well, it might be over somewhere else doing something else. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I think I get it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Elizabeth, I'm seeing we need to do a whole event just on natal.
Yeah, yeah, because I wanted to ask too, so this reminds me of something else that I've studied a little bit, but those signs that were just up, like if I look at, okay, I'm totally making this up. If Leo is down here and Capricorn were up here, because they're kind of opposites on that wheel, does that play into it as well? Does it
Absolutely.
really?
Because my opposite is Gemini. So
Yeah.
absolutely. There's some play in there too with whatever is opposite you in the chart. And also another thing that kind of brings up something else, bringing it back to the moon. When we talk about eclipses, if you've ever heard someone talk about the eclipse axis or axis, I guess you say in plural, it's because the eclipse is always going to be in. So if the eclipse happened in Sagittarius, there's a period where I'll have the solar and lunar eclipse will be opposite each other. There'll be a solar eclipse in Sagittarius and a lunar eclipse in Gemini, and it'll kind of teeter between those two until it rocks its way to the next two signs. So that's what it means by being on an axis. Our eclipses almost always occur within an axis. Sometimes it's one off just because as it rocks a little bit, that one sign will stay in the old axis, so it'll stay in the Sagittarius Gemini, while the new one moves over just a little bit, and then it'll rock some more, and we'll have a new axis to set it up on. So yeah, that plays into lunar as well because it rocks on those axes as far as the eclipses. Jessie.
Hi. I got this for my birthday once, and it is an astrology book for the day that I was born. So it actually has like my birth date, what time I was born,
Yes.
has all the information. I don't know if you can see any of that, but
Well, I've seen those
your
before.
natal charts. Yeah. It is so cool. It's got so much information. Like it tells about the sun, about my Cancer sign because I'm a Cancer, and then like all the other signs and how they relate to you. Is so much information. It was so exciting to get one of these.
If you have a place where people can order their own personalized copy of that, I'd love for you to drop that.
I'll find out for you and then be able to put it in there.
Okay.
Because I don't know what they on it, but it's so neat. Like it was exciting reading all that.
That's a gorgeous cover.
I got it actually came like this, and it came with my own personalized birthday candle, also with my name and date and everything on it.
I love it. Cool. Thank you for sharing. Thanks, Jessie. All right. Well, I think we are right at time. Do we have any other questions before we close out? Elizabeth, did you drop your information so that people can schedule?
No, I was just trying to run over and grab it really quick. I am awful at remembering. I was going to grab my Meetup link, and you can message me through Meetup if that's cool, because I didn't grab my link ahead of time. I'm going to do that right now. Oh my God, I might not be. Wait.
Well, y'all learned how to join this group for Meetup. I'm sure you can find Elizabeth and just click on her little picture and send her a private message.
I got it. Wait, I got it.
Yay! Awesome.
I'm tech savvy. And then
thank you all so much for coming. You have both of your links over there now. Ways to reach out if you would like more information. I'm sure we'll be doing more events like this. I think our next event will probably be astrology or natal charts. I'm thinking natal charts. What are you thinking, Elizabeth? Anyway, stay tuned for all of that. Thank you all so much for coming. And last comment, I hope this has inspired you to look to the moon, to align with the moon, find some way to get in alignment with the moon. Elizabeth gave a ton of great explanations. You can also look at your chart. But the moon, she's so wonderful. I hope you become besties with the moon.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Look up
tonight. Kitty with the moon. I love it.